everyone, this is Elissa here with She Does Credit. So today we're talking about credit and how exactly your credit score is calculated. So first and foremost, your credit is basically you borrowing some type of money or having some type of credit line that you're leaning on or borrowing with the express intent to pay for that product or service at a later date. And I really hope that you pay it on the actual due date. So, you borrow something, you definitely have to pay them back. So let me just give you some examples. First off, your credit is your credibility. So let's say I have a friend that I've known for a very long time, we've been friends for years, and they come to me and they say, hey Alyssa, I'm going through a rough time, can I borrow a few dollars to, I just need to borrow a few dollars. Okay, so I know that they'll pay me back, we have an established relationship, we're good, no problem, I know I could count on you. Versus somebody that I just met and they're asking me already for favors and to borrow money, and I'm like, who is this person? And then I'm hearing that you just don't pay people back. Nobody wants to be involved with that type of person. It's the same thing with your credit and your credit report and how it's showing up. Banks and lenders are looking at your credit report and they're seeing how exactly you're working your credit and your credit file. And if you're not paying your bills on time or you're just not being disciplined or held accountable for that, nobody's going to want to lend to you. So let's get into how exactly your credit score is calculated. First and foremost, 35% of how your credit score is calculated is your payment history. That's what I was getting into. So that's the biggest thing. What I recommend, I don't care if you have to make a calendar, I don't care if you need alerts going off, somebody to remind you, write down on your refrigerator, do automatic bill pay, something. Make sure those bills are paid on time because that's 35%. That holds the most weight as to how your credit score is calculated. So what I was saying before with credit and credibility, and I know that my friend would pay me back versus someone that I hear doesn't, it's the same thing. They're looking to see if you're paying your bills on time. And it's reported on a legend, like it actually shows how late you were, if you were late, or were you 30 days late, were you 60 days late, 90, 120 days late, whatever it is. If you're going through a rough time and you can't pay your bills on time, make sure you're telling those lenders, make sure you're telling the banks, whoever you gotta tell, get it in writing. Because you know what, God forbid you're going through a rough time, you're putting yourself in a worse position by not telling them. But if you do tell them, they might be able to show you some type of grace or compassion, and they would at least have it in their notes. I know plenty of clients who have gone through job losses, financial hardship, disability, and sometimes it's easier to work with them knowing that they have this on file in their notes. Make sense? So you always want to make sure you pay your bills on time. Now, 30% of how your credit score is calculated is your debt to income ratio. That's known as DTI. So let me get into it. Let's say you have a credit line of $10,000. They always say don't utilize more than 30%. And I know you're thinking, they gave me this credit line, so why can't I spend it? They're looking at your discipline, the fact that you can manage your finances and your credit, you're paying those bills on time. Let me give you an example. I went to make a really big purchase the other day. I thought I was using my credit for it. They said, no, we need a check. We need a certified check. Why do you need a certified check? Well, if you're putting all this on your credit card, we know that you can make those payments, but we want to know that the money is there versus leaning on your credit. I'm like, wow, that makes sense. But I'm like, I didn't know that. So it's pretty much the same thing. They want to know that you're able to make those payments. You're not just leaning on your credit. A lot of people get themselves into credit card debt. It's so easy to swipe versus paying it back, right? Or just having like the automatic credit cards on your phone. You just scan it and stuff. Yeah. Like I said, I know they say 30% is the most utilization you should use. I always try to stay below 20%. Really great utilization is 8 to 10%. So let's say you have a credit limit of $10,000. 8% is $800. 10% is $1,000. And I know you're probably thinking like, why? Again, they want to know that you could discipline yourself, manage yourself and your finances, okay? So if you have any credit card debt that's over 30%, try to make a plan to pay that down. That would also help to bring up your score, okay? 30% is your debt to income ratio. Even when you're going for some type of loan or a mortgage, they'll tell you the same thing. They need you to pay down that debt because they need to know that you could pay your bills and you have the money to do it. So now 15% is your credit history. Just like the saying goes, in time, or like fine wine, things get better with time. You get what I'm saying. You always want to make sure you have that credit history, okay? There are some people who don't even have bad credit. They don't even have anything negative or derogatory, but they get turned down because they don't have that credit history. Being that you don't have that credit history, you need to build that up. Therefore, you never want to close out an account. I've made that mistake before where I didn't close an account, but because I didn't use them in such a long time, they were closed by the grantors. Did it look bad on my credit report? I personally made my payments on time. But is it the best thing? No, because you need that history, right? Just like what I was mentioning before with my friend and making sure she paid her bills on time and she would pay me on time, it's pretty much the same thing. You never ever want to close an account. I know that when some people pay off their debt, they're like, oh, I'm done with this, or I'm cutting up my credit cards. You don't want to do that. Keep a small amount on there. If you get gas, if you're making a purchase, just try to keep it open to keep it alive. Make sense? Never ever close an account. 15% is how your credit score is calculated, okay? 10% is your new credit. 10%. So let's say you just got a new car. Let's say you just got a new credit card. Let's say you just got a loan or something. That is being accounted for 10%. You don't want to get too much all at one time, because when you're applying, the banks and lenders, especially with those inquiries, they can hurt you. Let's say you're going to get a car. Let's say you're going car shopping, right? They'll hit you with a loan application. Let's get you started. Let's say you're going apartment shopping. Let's get you an application. Let's see if you're qualified. Guys, you don't always have to just give away your social security numbers and apply for things. Even when I go to a doctor's office or somewhere and I see a social security number, I'm like, do you really need this? Like, because it's my personal information. I don't want you just running anything. Do that, okay? What if you go apartment shopping and they're running you an application and this place is a hole in the wall, or you're going to find a car and you don't even like it? You don't always have to apply for these things. Keep it below 2 to 3 inquiries, because too much at one time honestly makes you look desperate. You don't want to look desperate. And it's like a domino effect. Especially if you're getting denied, it's like denied, and they're going to keep running your credit. Be mindful. This happens a lot, especially when you're going to apply for like a car or a loan. If you're not qualified, they're going to keep running your credit to find somewhere or some type of company that's going to match with you and take you on as a client. Be mindful of that. Lastly, the last 10% of how your credit score is calculated is a credit mix, like a cocktail. You want something that's going to report to all of the bureaus, not just one, or it's not building your credit. So examples of this is like your car note, a credit card that reports everywhere, like MasterCard, Visa, Discover, American Express. Let's say your loans or a student loan. Let's say your mortgage. You want something that's going to report. You need a good credit mix. Honestly, think of it like a cocktail. You're putting different things in there. So let me give you an example. I went car shopping, right? I have good credit, but I never had a car in my name. I thought I was a co-signer when my dad leased a car for me a while ago. Didn't have anything in my name. So they need bank statements, they ran my credit. That's how I think I got the car, and with God's grace. But still, I never had that in my name. So, it's what you call a lightweight. Sounds like a drink, like, oh, they're lightweight. I literally never had anything in my name. So being that I never had anything in my name, it didn't look good. You need a credit mix. You need different types of things. Like I said before, like maybe your car, your credit cards, mortgage loans, student loans. Put things in your name. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was all about your credit and how your credit score is calculated. And this is Elissa here with She Does Credit. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.